Good afternoon, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Backstage with Blink, and what I hope is your favorite session of the year. I'm Senda, marketing executive here at Blink, and today I'm very excited to share with you our exclusive product features and releases. You'll get to hear from our amazing engineering team that are with us today. So with no further ado, let's share with you the agenda for the day. As you know, this is a 30-minute session, and we want to focus on 4 key items. First of all, Frontline Intelligence. And this is a feature that went live last week. It's for our admin users, and to ensure that admins have quick access to user activity and engagement. This feature will be demoed by Gavin, who will be more than happy to answer any questions you have. So please feel free to use the Q&A chat or the chat for any questions that you have. Following this is Dynamic Teams. And this is also a recent feature that we released. It's all about allowing admin users to automatically update teams based on a set of properties. I will be demoing this feature, and I'm very excited about that. And following this, Lee from our solutions engineering team will tell you all about the integrations at Blink. He will also go through ADP and very specific examples to also answer any questions that you have. And finally, Hap, our product manager, will tell you all about the future of Blink, the next features that our amazing engineering team is building, and share all of those exciting things with you. So let's start with Frontline Intelligence, and Gavin, I will let you take us through that feature.
Thank you, Senna, and good afternoon, everyone. Today, I'm excited to tell you more about our new analytics offering called Frontline Intelligence. So we've been testing this new offering with some of you for some time, and have recently made it available to all of our customers. And this first version gives you new insight into 2 areas in particular: who is activated on the platform and what content is trending in your feed. So if you've opened the Blink admin portal recently, you will probably have noticed a new section that replaces our old analytics page, and within it, 2 new pages. So first, there is the activity page, giving you one place to see who's active as opposed to inactive, and more interestingly, who's engaged on the platform. And engaged users are those that are not just reading what happens on Blink, but also participate in the conversations that are happening in the feed by liking or by commenting on posts. And then next up is the engagement page, which, as the name suggests, provides insight into what content on Blink is driving engagement with the platform. And no longer do you also have to open post analytics one by one on the feed. You can now find metrics such as reach and the number of likes and comments for all your feed posts directly from this page. So let me dive right in and give you a quick demo. So I've got my my Blink web app open here, and I'm gonna go straight into the admin portal. Let me just make it a little bit bigger there. And once I've opened this, you'll see this new landing page that we've added, which also has a few helpful links into some of our help articles, and we'll be adding more useful resources into here soon. And one thing you'll find here is this banner here talking about Frontline Intelligence, and I'm just going to use it to dive straight into the activity page. So on this page, first off, you've got an overview of your activity, of the activity of your users. Now, I'm using a demo here. As you can see, my organization is a bit all over the place. There's people sort of jumping on and off every day. It probably will look a bit different for you. But for me, in the last, I'm currently looking at the last 90 days, there's been about 93% of my users active, which all in all is not bad at all. Now, moving on, in the next section on this page, what it shows me is the people have been activated versus invited versus sitting before that. They haven't been invited yet. So in my case, I'm actually doing really well because I've got 500 users, which is a beautifully round number, and 100% of them are invited or are on the platform. But what it would show me is if I start inviting users, I would have the number here of the amount of users that are invited and haven't signed up yet. Or I would have users that maybe have been imported or have been provisioned through something like Skim or user sync, which Lee will touch on later, where I've got users sitting there that haven't even been sent an invite. So what this also allows me to do is just jump right in here into this little screen that gives me a few actions that I can take off the back of that. So I can jump in and go look at those users that are invited, and I can go send them another invite or resend the invite. Or I could go jump into the imported tab, for example, where I could start sending invites to users that maybe I've imported, but I haven't sent an invite yet to. Now, last on this page gives you like one overview from a high level of who's engaged and who isn't. And this is quite interesting. So it breaks your users down into three categories. It shows you the amount of users that are engaged. So these are users that are not just sitting on Blink, opening Blink, and using Blink. They're also the users that are actively participating in the conversation. So they're the ones liking feed posts, that are commenting on feed posts, that are maybe even creating their own feed posts. And these end up in this engaged bucket. First is your passive users. I mean, nothing wrong with being passive, but these are just users that open Blink, read Blink, consume Blink, but don't necessarily like or comment. So these are the ones that might be the ones that you might want to get to liking or get to engage with the content that's happening on Blink. And then lastly, just the users that are inactive or the users that haven't used Blink in the period that I'm looking at. So I've been talking about the period. You've got the same filters that you used to have on the analytics page here. You can filter all of this by team. So for example, if I filter this by the finance team, they've been a bit less active and also a little bit less engaged than overall, for example, or than the average of the company. I can then also look at that over the different time frames, or you could select your own custom time frame if you want to do that. For example, if I would compare this to someone like the marketing team, a little bit more active and actually a bit more engaged. So everything still makes sense, although maybe I should try and get my finance team to be a bit more engaged on Blink. So there's a mission for me off the back of what I've seen here. I'm going to jump into the second page. And this page, I'm going to have to take this filter off, otherwise it's not going to show me everything. So let me go back to this 90 days and no filter on the team. This page gives me an overview, first and foremost, of the trending feed posts. There's a new section here that shows you in one place the feed posts that are currently trending. So I filtered it to be any feed post created in the last 90 days. I could also filter it down to being like the last 7 days. And then from those feed posts, it shows me the ones that are currently trending or currently actively trending. And that is based on a few things. So it's looking at how many people are liking that feed post, how many people are commenting on that feed post, as well as how many people are viewing that feed post and interacting with that feed post more generally. And then off the back of that, we calculate a score and we sort your feed post and we show you the top 3 here. But if you want to load more, you can click here and you can load the next 10, and you can kind of keep doing that for all the feed posts that you've got sent in that period that you've selected. What this also gives you, and as I've mentioned before, it now gives you a really nice overview of all your feed post analytics in one place. And you don't just have to look at the top trending feed posts. You can also click here, view all posts, and be taken into this new feed page, which gives you an overview of all your feed posts, similar to as you can see them in your either your web client or your web app or the mobile apps. And you've also got the same filters that you do on those apps. So you can filter by, for example, if I want to see the COVID-19 post I've sent, I've got one, and then you've got your analytics kind of going here beside it. Or if you want to filter by who the post was shared with, as in the team that you share the post with, or who sent the post, you can use the same filters as you've got on the app. So going back into the engagement page, there's also at the bottom here a more broad overview of what's been happening in the feeds. So you could break down the amount of comments, likes, posts that have been sent. Again, this is all filtered by depending on which team you're looking at or the time frame that you're looking at. And then beyond feed, I can also look at my chats and have a look at the direct messages, the group messages that are being sent, again, in the time frame that I've selected on Blink. And soon we're also going to be adding hub analytics to this, and I'll let Hap talk a bit more about that when they talk about what is coming up next. Now, it's all great using this in our UI, but some of you may not want to use the UI. Some of you may want to use your own software tools and actually just want this as some sort of an export or as a CSV or an Excel file. So we added a new feature here that allows you to export all of this data. So you can click here. Again, you can select the sections or the information that you're interested in. You can select the teams that you want this for. And as well, you can select the time frame that you're interested in. You can then just click the download button, and that will download a Excel file to your desktop or your downloads folder. Now, I've got one here. So just as an example, this is what it looks like. So I've exported all the information for the last, I think I did for 30 days of all the different areas of the app. And you can then use that in whatever tool or however you like, or just keep in Excel and put your own graphs on top of it, for example. So we've already started work on the next version of Frontline Intelligence. So stay tuned for that, and more coming in the future. And all of these features that I just showed, they work a lot better if you've got the right team set up in Blink. And more importantly, if these teams contain the right people inside of your company at any given point in time, which is easier said than done. So to help you solve this problem, we recently launched a feature called Dynamic Teams. And to tell you all about that, I'm going to hand back over to Senda.
Thank you, Gavin. Yes, so Dynamic Teams. Before I share with you a demo and dive into the demo, I would like to give everyone an overview of what this feature is and why we built it in the first place. So Dynamic Teams, in a nutshell, is a new feature that allows admins to automatically update their teams based on a set of properties. And by that, I mean departments, job titles, company name, or locations. And this feature was built because until today, admins had to do this manually. And we know that organizations change and they move really fast. So we see people joining, people leaving the company or getting promoted. And it's hard sometimes to keep track with what's going on and to do this manually. So this is where Dynamic Teams comes in and helps admins to basically save time and a lot of effort. And on top of this, you're now able to do this automatically and at scale. So I'm very happy to demo this today. And I have an example to share with you. So you're all familiar with the admin portal, and I'm here in my organization with a few set of teams. But the one I'd like you to focus on for the sake of this webinar is the marketing NYC team. And so this team has 3 members, as you can see here. But I know that recently there's been a few joiners and there's been movement in the marketing team. So that number is not up to date. So let me click on this team. And I can see that there are 3 members here from the marketing department. But I'm not sure that the new joiners in the NYC office are captured here. So what I can do is go to dynamic membership rules, which activates dynamic teams. And this is what the feature is all about. So I can now pick a set of properties as mentioned. In this case, because it's marketing and NYC, I will pick a department, which is the marketing department. And I see that there are 13 matches already. And I also want to make sure that it's the New York office. So I add a location. And I have 8 matches for this. So if I scroll down here, I can see that there's a few changes. And this column reflects what Dynamic Teams is all about. So we went from 3 to 8 members. And I know that all of the users in this list respect the set of rules that I've included. There are actually three use cases. I will take you through and explain what they are. So the first one is Christy here. She's a permanent user, meaning that she was in this team before I did the dynamic membership rules. And she's now a dynamic user, which means that she's actually in marketing and in New York. So she's in the right place, in the right team right now. On the other hand, Hannah is a dynamic user, which means that she wasn't in this team. She has been added because she's both in marketing and in New York, and she's now a dynamic member. Finally, Ashley is a permanent member. That means that she was in the team before the dynamic rules. However, she's in marketing, but she's not in New York. So what's interesting here is I can decide to either keep Ashley as a part of this team, or I could remove her. And if I remove her, I'm sure that everyone in this list is both in marketing and in New York. Because Ashley is the CMO, I actually want to keep her in this team to make sure that she's overseeing everything that's going on. But the good thing here is, thanks to dynamic teams, I know that everyone is at the right place. And this took me a few seconds really, and I can update this. I have a summary of what's been changed, and I know that everyone is at the right place. So that was dynamic teams. I will now head over to Lee to tell you more about the integrations.
Thank you, Senda. Hi, everyone. I'm Lee, and thank you again for joining us today. I work in the solution engineering department here at Blink, and part of our role is to expand and improve integrations to allow you to seamlessly connect and work with tools and services that are already in use in your organization, or help roll out new ones. And part of that, our goal is to make these external systems and processes as easy as possible to use. And with that, I want to take you through a few areas that we've been working on, starting with single sign-on. So single sign-on, for anybody that's not super familiar, is allowing your employees to seamlessly sign into applications they use every day from the hub, whether this be accessing a specific service, such as payslips from Workday, or utilizing an identity provider, such as OneLogin or Okta, to access a wide range of services. It removes barriers to entry and expands your digital front door to the things that you require. Next up is user sync. Now, this is a rapidly expanding set of integrations which allow you to manage your employees in one place that flows directly into Blink. And we're going to be diving into this in a little bit more detail on the next slide. And lastly, ever expanding. We're consistently bringing new integrations and services such as pay integrations, which allow you to be notified and access pay directly from the hub or the feed, digital forms, which can be used to replace old outdated paper-based processes such as reporting a near miss or a holiday request, and replacing it with a digital form, easy to use, and again, lives directly in the hub. So please keep an eye on these integration marketplace for any new additions. And next up, we're going to be diving into user sync. So this year is going to see the release of 2 new user sync integrations, both from Workday and ADP. A user sync integration allows you to seamlessly roll out new employees, departments to Blink, as well as keeping your existing users up to date. By utilizing a golden source of truth, such as a HR platform, this allows you to only have to worry about keeping one area up to date, as all changes will be reflected in Blink, saving you both time and resources. Now, when we're setting this up, a question we hear quite a lot is how much flexibility do these integrations offer in terms of who and what we sync? Well, the great news is you have complete control over what you decide to sync. You have the ability to sync certain departments, teams, or the whole organization into Blink. And as far as personal information goes, you can decide how you want to map that data from the platform into the user profile. Say you want to use a custom field for department, or would rather use a field such as preferred name rather than first name, you have complete control over that. And this control doesn't just start when you first enable the user sync. You have the freedom to make these changes as you go and find the perfect balance that works both for you and your organization. Now, as we can see from the image on the right, the organization's hierarchy is also included as we automatically sync line managers. This means new starters and users moving departments can easily see who they report into and have the ability to quickly get in touch with any questions or concerns they may have. And for platforms such as ADP, we get updates every 5 minutes, meaning that if you make an important change to a user's email or phone number, you won't have to wait a long time to see that change reflected in Blink. And as we mentioned customization previously, if you're looking to use a HR platform for that user sync to manage the majority of your users, but would still like to manage a portion of your users through things such as bulk updates or directly in Blink, you have the freedom to mix and match both and use it in whichever way works best for you. And most importantly, if you're looking to get a user sync integration enabled for your organization, please do get in touch. And finally, this is just an example of some of the great integrations that we have with services such as Microsoft 365 and Azure, Zoom, and Go1. We also have some upcoming integrations to give you a sneak peek there, Kronos and UKG, just to name a couple, but you'll be hearing more about this in the coming weeks and months. So please do check out our marketplace. And if you don't see an application that's important to you, please hit our request an app button to let us know what is most important. Now over to Hap, who will give you an insight into what's coming up next.
Hey there, I'm Hap. I'm a product manager here at Blink, and I'm super excited to give you a sneak peek behind the curtain at what we'll be releasing this quarter, what we're building this quarter, and where we're headed next. So at the moment, we're preparing to roll out some very cool improvements and additions to your feed, which I'm really excited to show you here shortly. And for this quarter, we're really focusing on making your Blink web experience even more powerful. So we're doing that by making sure all of the tools and features that you love are optimized for web. And as Gavin mentioned, really ramping up Frontline Intelligence. Looking down the road, once Hub has had a makeover and Frontline Intelligence is stacked with even more insights, we'll be looking at bringing in streaming and, excitingly, using those insights to help you identify turnover patterns along with actionable prevention tools. So as I mentioned, we've got a few feed improvements coming to the app over the next few weeks. Firstly, and some of you may recognize this if you're part of our beta program, is Feed Carousel. The carousel will bring a new look to the top of your feed, and as administrators, you'll have the ability to feature posts for everyone to see. Next, we'll be bringing Post Planner feature to web and Android, and the Post Planner allows you to see and edit all posts scheduled by you or an alias that you belong to. Additionally, we're bringing admins the ability to boost a post. That means that you'll not only be able to look at a post engagement, but also take action to increase that engagement by featuring it in the carousel, sharing it to a wider audience, or re-notifying users who may have missed it the first time. And lastly, we're adding a relevant view to post comments, so managers will now have an easier time accessing and engaging with questions and comments from their own teams. And you can expect to see all of these live and in the app over the next few weeks. And finally, I am buzzing to show you what we're working on this quarter, and I think you'll be very excited. Firstly, we've been listening to your feedback and feature requests, and I am happy to say that we have started work on a whole new section of the app, Blink Home. Blink Home will be a lot of things, but most importantly, it will be whatever you want it to be. Alongside your daily agenda and featured posts, we'll also have a menu of available features and integrations so you can actually build your Blink Home to the perfect companion for your daily workflow. That means that the tools you use the most right where you want them and nothing you don't. Additionally, the Frontline Intelligence team will be building widgets for your most useful insights so you can take the ones most important to you and arrange them in your new Blink Home. Alongside Blink Home, as I mentioned, we'll also be optimizing Hub for desktop users and adding analytics so you can see how well a page is doing or how often a specific page or video or form is being used. Finally, while building widgets for the new homepage, Frontline Intelligence teams will be working on adding new insights around specific line managers and teams so you can truly make an impact on a team-by-team basis. And before I let you go and hand you back over to Senda, I encourage you to please open up your phone camera and scan the QR code and cast your votes to have a say over what we work on next.